previous class, we have learned about the fluid and electrolyte balance. How for that different mechanism that is playing integral role for maintenance of balance in fluid and electrolyte. Now, today's class is on disturbance on. Okay. So, what disturbance may be found with that fluid and electrolyte balance? Today is a short class on about that. So, talking generally, when we are talking a well-balanced diet, it supplies the requirement of our electrolyte, and we may not the possess humans. We may not possess the ability to distinguish between salt hunger and water hunger. So, when we are first, so we may not know we are deprived of electrolytes or fluid. Eh, Means so when you are talking about electrolytes and fluid, it comes synonymously. I have already told. So one it attached with other. Okay, we cannot talk about balance if we are talking only fluid or if we are talking only electrolyte balance. Both will come simultaneously. So we may not have ability to distinguish between salt hunger or water hunger. Okay, so uh, that means if you are thirsty, we may be in need of what fluid as well as electrolyte also. That's why thirst may regulate the electrolyte intake also. In hot climate, the loss of electrolyte is generally usually higher, and at that instant, it becomes necessary to supplement the drinking water with electrolytes also. Now, coming some of the disorder related with those fluid and electrolyte balance. First of all, the disorder of water balance, dehydration. Okay, or dehydration. So in dehydration, the water loss exceeds over the water intake, and the body is in negative fluid balance. Okay, so there is water deprivation, we can say. Certain causes of this dehydration are hemorrhage, burns, prolonged vomiting or diarrhea, sweating, profuse sweating, water deprivation, and diuretic abuse. So these may be some of the causes for the dehydration. Signs and symptoms of this dehydration: cotton mouth. Cotton mouth means dryness. We can say extreme dryness of mouth, cotton mouth, which we call as a word given as cotton mouth, dryness. There is less salivary secretion because of that. Thirst, dry floss skin, and oliguria. Okay. Oliguria, we can say of urine, passes of very few volume of urine. Oliguria. Prolonged dehydration may lead to weight loss, fever, and mental confusion. Other consequences include hypovolemic shock and loss of electrolyte. So one of the disorder of water balance is dehydration, where there is water loss is excreting the intake of water by our body. So hence there is negative fluid balance. And causes may be these things: so hemorrhage, vomiting, diarrhea, profuse sweating, water deprivation. So in dehydration mechanism, first there is excessive loss of water from extracellular fluid, and that causes the extracellular osmotic pressure to rise. Because first there will be loss of fluid from extracellular, and osmotic pressure rises over the extracellular compartment. And after that, when the osmotic pressure rises here, it tends to make the flow of fluid over from cell, and hence cells loses water to ECF by osmosis. Right? And so in this case, the cells shrink. So this is the mechanism of dehydration. Due to loss of water from extracellular fluid, first there will be the osmotic pressure rise cause, and because of that consequences, the cell will lose water to ECF by osmosis. In this way, there is process of losing of water from different compartment, ECF, and after that from cells. And the consequence is that the cells shrink in these cases in dehydration. Also, another disorder related to water balance is hypotonic hydration. Hypotonic hydration. So whenever there is renal insufficiency, or when an extraordinary amount of water is ingested quickly, so that can causes the cellular overhydration or water intoxication. Right? So this is about water intoxication, means when you are taking extraordinary amount of water ingested quickly. One on another, if there is renal insufficiency, means if renal is not able to make the urine properly, in that cases it may cause the cellular overhydration or water intoxication. So ECF is diluted. So what happens in water intoxication is also called hypotonic hydration. Hypotonic hydration, right? Or cellular overhydration, water intoxication, right? So these are one disorder. So in that cases, ECF is diluted. Sodium content is normal, but excessive water will be present. Actually, the sodium content will be normal, but water will be excess. Because of excess water, it causes hyponatremia. Actually, the sodium level will be normal, but because of presence of excess water, we can say it causes the relative with that sodium to cause hyponatremia, and it causes osmosis into the tissue cells, causing swelling. of that cells, and these events must be quickly reversed to prevent severe metabolic disturbances, and particularly neurons are more susceptible to cause disturbance by this type of disorder, water intoxication. Overhydration, water intoxication, right? This is also one of the disorder of water balance. When the water content is high, it results hyponatremia. Overhydration or water intoxication is caused by excessive retention of water in the body. When there is more water retained in the body, it may cause overhydration, and this may occur due to excessive intake of large volume of salt-free fluids. And there is renal failure or overproduction of ADH. So this may be certain causes, reasons for that water intoxication. So if there is intake of large volume of salt-free fluids, only fluids if there is taken without salt, renal failure, overproduction of antidiuretic hormone, etc. So in water intoxication, so if Manoj Subedi, if you have anything, please write over the chats. Manoj Subedi, if you have any problem, please write over the chat section. Give message. Okay. So in water intoxication, there is dilution of extracellular fluid and intracellular fluid with a decrease in osmolality. Okay. So with the dilution, the osmolality gets decreased. So osmolality is related to the number of dissolved solutes. Okay. So that we have to know, and mainly the osmolality is maintained by osmolality. That electrolytes. Osmolality, mainly osmolality is maintained by dissolved electrolytes, sodium, potassium. They are the major contributors of osmolality. And that over that you can find in your textbook also. The clinical symptoms include headache, lethargy, and convulsions. And when for this water intoxication type, the treatment is just stoppage of water intake and administration of hypertonic saline. Okay. So generally, when saline is provided, normal saline is provided. So in case of this intoxication, hypertonic saline is provided as a treatment protocol. So in case of this water intoxication or hypotonic hydration, same thing, hypotonic hydration, water intoxication, the excessive water enters in the excessive extracellular fluid, the osmotic pressure falls here. Okay, and because of these consequences, the organ, the fluid will be moving towards this side, towards the intracellular side by osmosis. Okay, in that case, the cell swells. Okay, so this is the mechanism of hypotonic hydration. Excessive water intrusion into ECF causes the osmotic pressure to fall, and because of fall of osmotic pressure here, it tends to move water into the cells by osmosis, and here the cells swell. Another disorder related with water balance is edema. So edema is the atypical accumulation of fluid in the interstitial space leading to tissue swelling, and the cause may increase the flow of fluids out of the bloodstream or hinders their return. And the factors that may accelerate the fluid loss through this bloodstream may include the increased blood pressure, capillary permeability, when there is incompetent venous blood, localized blood vessel blocks, congestive heart failure, hypertension, high blood volume. So these are the causes that causes the accelerated fluid loss from the circulation, and that causes the leakage out of the stream and presence of fluid in the interstitial space leading to tissue swelling. Okay. So this is our edema, and that we call as edema. So when there is any indoor fluid return, it causes the imbalance in colloid osmotic pressure. So causes of that indoor fluid causes the imbalance in colloid osmotic pressure. Hyperproteinemia, low levels of plasma proteins. Hypoproteinemia, low level of plasma proteins also may be associated. In hypoproteinemia, it forces the fluid out of capillary beds at the arterial ends, because protein are also the dissolved solutes, and that are also maintaining the responsible to maintain the osmotic balance. And in hypoproteinemia, it forces the fluid out of capillary beds at the arterial ends, and fluid fails to return to the venous end. And this hypoproteinemia may cause from protein malnutrition, liver disease, glomerulonephritis. Right? So these are the conditions associated for hypoproteinemia. So when there is hypoproteinemia, it forces the fluid out of capillary beds at the arterial ends, and the fluid may fail to return at venous ends, and the results may be the hypoproteinemia may be due to malnutrition, liver disease, glomerulonephritis. Right? So these are the conditions associated for hypoproteinemia. So in edema, along with water, sodium in our body is also getting increased. In that case, when the diuretic drugs are administered, they increase the sodium excretion. So again, with the sodium, water is lost. In that case, along with the sodium, water is also will be eliminated. Sodium restriction in diet is therefore advised in congestive cardiac failure and in hypertension. So in these cases, the sodium restriction diet is advised. Major electrolytes disturbances. Okay, now some certain disturbances related with electrolytes. First, major electrolytes in the extracellular fluid is sodium. Sodium in the plasma of serum, the concentration of sodium is 135 to 145 milligram in the range that, and it is the chief extracellular cation. Normal diet generally contains about 5 to 10 gram of sodium in the form of sodium chloride, and the same amount will be daily excreted through urine. Okay, so there should be balance of this sodium level in our body. Intake, outtake, intake and output. So normal level you should know in sodium it is 135 to 145 milligram per liter, and it is the chief extracellular cation. Now some of the disease condition associated with these electrolyte levels. First about sodium we have talked, and hyponatremia. Hyponatremia. This is the condition when the sodium level falls below the normal. Hyponatremia means the level of sodium is below the normal range, 135 to 145 milli equivalent per liter. That is the normal range in serum or blood. Right? So when there is decrease of that level, if the condition is hyponatremia. And hyponatremia may be associated with diarrhea, vomiting, renal disease, adrenocortical insufficiency like in Addison diseases. So in this condition, hyponatremia may be seen. And sometimes when there is administration of salt-free fluids in patient, it may also cause the hyponatremia. And this is due to overhydration. Actually, this is the relative term. When the level of that fluid exceeds, then because of that relative relative volume, it may cause the hyponatremia. And decrease of serum sodium concentration is also observed in edema, which occurs in cirrhosis and heart failure, a congestive. Manifestation of hyponatremia include reduced blood pressure and circulatory failure. So hyponatremia is the condition where there is decreased level of sodium. Causes may be associated with diarrhea, vomiting, renal disease, Addison disease, and the manifestation of hyponatremia include reduced blood pressure and there is circulatory failure. Hyponatremia, the condition is characterized by the elevation in the serum sodium level. Means there is higher level of sodium that beyond that normal range, 135 to 145. When it is exceeding 145 milli equivalent per liter, the condition may be hyponatremia. And the symptoms include increase in blood volume, blood pressure, and it may be associated or reasons may be hyperactivity of adrenal cortex, that is Cushing syndrome, prolonged administration of cortisone, LMCTH or sex hormones. So that may be the condition associated with this to cause hyponatremia. Loss of water from the body causing dehydration, as in diabetes insipidus. Okay, so low level of antidiuretic hormone ADS may be seen with diabetes insipidus, antidiuretic hormone related disease. So in that case, there is the loss of water from the body causing dehydration. That it may causes results in hyponatremia. So sometimes the rapid administration of sodium shall also increase the sodium concentration. So it can be noted as noted in pregnancy, steroid and placenta hormones causes sodium and water retention in the body, causing to. So in edema, along with water, sodium concentration in the body is also elevated. Plasma potassium, another major electrolyte is potassium, and its concentration in serum is 3.5 to 5. 3.5 or 3.4, same thing, 3.5 to 5 milliequivalent per liter. And another important note is the whole blood contains higher level of potassium. Potassium is present more inside the cell. Okay, so this is the level in plasma. We do not include the cell. But when you talk about the whole blood, the plasma potassium level will be 50 milligram per liter, and it is predominantly a intracellular cation, as we know already. So care should be taken to avoid the hemolysis of RBC for the estimation of potassium. So when we are estimating the potassium level in serum, so high care should be provided to avoid the hemolysis of RBC, because if there is hemolysis of RBC, the false very high level of potassium level will be found because of that intracellular cation. Serum potassium concentration is maintained within a narrow range, 3.5 to 5 milliequivalent. So either low or high concentration are dangerous because potassium level affects the contractility of heart muscle. Okay, so potassium level is highly affecting this contractility of heart muscle. So that narrow range should be maintained, and there If there is fluctuation, that will be very dangerous. Now, disease states of this potassium is hypokalemia, less potassium level, and it is seen in overactivity of adrenal cortex in Cushing syndrome, corticoscopy, intravenous of potassium free fluid, treatment of diabetic coma with insulin, and in prolonged diarrhea and vomiting. Right? In that case, also the potassium level may go down. Symptoms of hypokalemia includes irritability, muscular weakness, tachycardia, cardiomegaly, and cardiac arrest. So, when cardiac diseases may be highly associated with hypokalemia because the potassium level is affecting the contractibility of heart muscle. So, tachycardia, cardiomegaly may be seen, cardiac arrest may be also caused by this. Hyperkalemia, it is the increase in concentration of serum potassium, and it is observed in renal failure, addiction disease, diabetic coma, severe hydration, intravenous administration of fluid with excessive potassium salts. So these are the causes of hyperkalemia. Manifestation of hyperkalemia: depression of central nervous system, mental confusion, numbness, bradycardia, cardiac arrest. Changes in ECG are also observed as elevated T wave, or ECG will be learning in elevated T wave. ECG we have already learned. Physiology. So in case of hyperkalemia, elevated T is seen in ECG pattern. In case of central nervous system, mental confusion, numbness. So these are the manifestations of hyperkalemia. Another major electrolyte is chlorine. Chlorine is the constituent of sodium chloride as a sodium chloride chlorine. And the metabolism of chlorine and sodium are intimately related, so they are related, interrelated, we can say. The plasma concentration of chloride is 95 to 105 milliequivalent per liter. Cerebrospinal fluid (CSF) contains higher level of chlorine. Okay, that is 125 milliequivalent per liter. And this is due to the fact that protein content is low in CSF, and therefore the chloride level is higher in order to maintain this equilibrium. So, the fact is that the protein content in CSF is low, and for that, to keep the balance of that electrolytes, positive and negative ions, chloride may be higher in order to maintain that equilibrium. Plasma concentration of chlorine is up to 105 milligram per liter, 95 ton, whereas CSF chloride level is 125. A bit higher of chlorine level is found in CSF. Disease state: hypochloremia, decreased level of chlorine may be seen with vomiting, diarrhea, alkalosis, respiratory alkalosis, addiction disease, and excessive sweating. Excessive sweating may cause loss of chloride and hence may cause the hypochloremia. Hyperchloremia, so increase in serum chlorine concentration due to dehydration, respiratory acidosis, and Cushing syndromes. Okay. So these are the certain disease state associated with chlorine. So this was for today's class. So if anything problem, you can write over the message. I can repeat that. 1 minute time is there. After that, automatically it will go. So in today's class, we have learned about the disorder associated with that fluid and electrolyte balance, and under that dehydration, hypotonic hydration, right? Water intoxication, edema, about electrolyte disturbances, about sodium, hyponatremia, potassium, hyperkalemia, and chlorine level. So these are the magnesium and other minerals. Calcium are also the electrolyte, can be taken as electrolyte, but these are so we have discussed all and disorder associated with that electrolyte balance. So we have very less time. Okay, thank you. If you have any problem, we can discuss in next class also. So for this, you can take book of Satyanarayana and Vasudevan. The content is taken from Satyanarayana and Vasudevan. So please refer to that book for